In one of the most recent Alpha 4.1.1 PTU patches, there is a features and gameplay updates. It says this: ship weapon recoil reactions. We are testing out recoil for a few vehicle weapons in this release, which will visually affect the player when firing certain ship weapons. The following weapons have been equipped with the recoil. First one is a CF 337 Panther repeaters. It's a size 3. And the next is the A&R Omnisky 7 cannons. It's a size 4. And the third one is the RSI Polaris cannons. Even though the patch note says it's a recoil reaction update, however, CIG also updated the sound effect for those weapons, both inside the ship and outside the ship. But so far, only for these 3 weapons. Now, let's take a look. First is the Anvil F7A Hornet Mark II. I have equipped 6 size 3 Panzers for the ship. Now, let's hear the sound from the outside of the ship first. Fire! Wow! Let me crank up the volume. Sound effect. Wow, so that's the sound from outside of the ship. Now, let's hear it from the inside of the ship. Wow, it really sounds Star Wars-like. And inside of the ship is more muffled sound. This is a great improvement for the sound. It's going to be such an enjoyment to fly and fight with the ship. The second weapon is the Omnisky 7, the size 4 laser cannons. So I put 4 of them on the Starlancer Max. Now let's hear it from the outside. Stagger mode on. Wow. Listen to this and watch this. The particle effects outside the barrel is also really nice. It sounds like rain hails from the sky. Not like pew 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 sound, not like a laser pew 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 like that, but dun 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 like that. Yeah, I know Star Wars sound is more like pew pew pew, higher pitch. This is lower pitch. Like that. Okay, non-staggered. Now, listen from the inside of the ship. Oh! Watch the recoil, that's crazy, the shaking. Oh, that's a little too much. Here's a little trick. You can turn it down, go to options, game settings, scroll all the way down, and then scroll up just a little bit and find this vehicle weapon recoil skill. You can turn it to 0, which has 0 recoil. So I'm gonna turn it down to maybe 50%. You want some kind of immersion, right? A little bit less. Oh, still a little too much. Turn it down to 25%. Yeah, this is better. Still a little bit recoil. Now, the sound inside the ship for this gun is a little weird to me. Outside. Inside. It's a little bit muffled, but I feel like it should be more muffling for the sound inside. So that's the second weapon. Now, the third weapon is the Polaris main gun. However, there is an interesting test. So yesterday I made a video about quantum traveling to your ships. Whether it's a vehicle or even a geo, you can quantum travel to, as long as you do not reclaim that ship. And that is, I call it, the best feature of the year. So after that video, I went to bed, and it's been 7-8 hours now because I took a really good sleep. Now, I just logged in. Look at that. I have my abandoned ships all over the place. And that cluster of names, that is where my Polaris is at, my mothership. Yesterday, before I logged out, I just left it in space. And there's some vehicles inside that Polaris as well. Now, if I go to my star map and I want to find my ship. So these are your ship symbols. Here is a Grey Cat PTV in space. Here should be the Geo. Yes, the Geo is still in space. I can jump to that Geo to recover it. And now, here... Yep. Here is a cluster of ships, and that's exactly where the Polaris is at. Because inside the Polaris, I still have, at least I know I have the Rock inside, the Tumblestorm AA inside, and that's my RSI Polaris. So I can just simply target a different ship. The Drake Mule should be outside the Polaris, because yesterday we were doing a test. I took the Drake Mule outside the ship and shot it, and then got crime stats 3, a lot of crime stats 3. So I just cleared it today. Now the Drake Mule should be outside of my Polaris, but really close. So let's jump to the Drake Mule. Alright, jumped in. And look at that. My Drake Mule is there, and that is my Polaris with all the vehicles and ships inside the ship. I just found my mothership. Exactly how I left it. And that Drake Mule is outside the ramp. This is incredible. Incredible. Wow. And inside the Polaris, like all my other vehicles and ships are there. Exactly how I left it. And the ship is good.
Welcome to Robert Spacey.
Wow.
System check.
Yes, ship is good. Now let's check out the size 6. This is such a milestone. This little feature connected a lot of dots for what is in the development, the major development in Star Citizen, especially the persistence of these ships, right? Without persistence, then even we have this feature, we wouldn't be able to get back our ship because they will just despawn. The last piece of the puzzle, what will make it even better, is how do we find the specific server we're on? Eventually, in the Star Citizen 1.0, once we start building our bases, right, we will have maybe a way to log back into the server where our base is at. If you play DayZ, you know you can just join the specific server where you build your base, where you saved your stash. Maybe that could be the same thing for Star Citizen. Alright, let's continue with this gun test. The sound outside the Polaris for the size 6 has no change. But the barrel effect is awesome. Look at that explosion. Wow. Okay. Now, inside. Listen to this. Holy moly. This is so cool. And you have 900 rounds. You can shoot this forever. And I tuned down the recoil to only 25%. You still have a little bit of recoil, but not that much. Awesome.